What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the High Tempo Sports Podcast, episode 204. Today, we are back to talk fantasy football. Need to throw some disclaimers out there. We're recording this on Friday right now, so Thursday Night Football has already happened, so that's why we're doing something a little bit different today. So yeah, just a heads up there. The Bears and Commanders already played last night, so we're not going to cheat and act like we are picking boom busts all from that game because we know what had happened. So yeah, that's basically the only thing that I have for a disclaimer. How did you guys do like last week in fantasy football, or like if you had anyone playing in fantasy last night in the game? How did it go?
Go ahead, Ivan.
I won in the big league. I think I lost in my other two.
Yeah. But you're 4-0 in the big league, which
4-0.
Which is scary. But I'm playing you this week, and
Yeah.
it's time to go down.
We've got some good matchups this
We
week.
do. There is some very good matchups this week. Seth, how about you?
I lost in like our league that we all share together, and then I won in my brother's league.
Okay.
So 50-50.
Yeah, that's not bad. Losing in our league, though, is definitely like...
That was tough. Not a great performance from my team this week. Pretty
Yeah,
sad.
but now we're in a fresh week. We're into week 5 right now. And today we're going to be doing a positional ranking for the top 10 players at each position that we would want for the rest of this season. So obviously we're 4 weeks into the year, and we talked about this a little bit last week, but this fantasy season has not played out like we expected to so far. So obviously this is basically us saying what we expect it to play out as at each position. We're all doing top 5 at tight end because like the position sucks. Like tight end 8 is in free agency anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Is there anything else? I'm trying to think of anything else before we're gonna do like the injury report and everything first. So I think we can just hop right into that. Yep. We need to go over the boom bust results though of last week. I think that is very crucial that we do that because your boy. We talked about it. We said, I don't think anyone's going to get 4 for 4. And I was like, I knew the whole time that I was going to get 4 for 4. I did 4 for 4 last week. Nico Collins, boom. He had like 20 more points than he was supposed to. Zach Moss, bust, hit by 0.3 points. Travis Etienne, bust, hit. And Josh Allen, boom, hit by a bunch. Only bringing my season total up to 5, though, because I only had 1 prior to that. So it's not like I am making a huge, it's not a big lead or anything for me. Ivan goes 1 for 4, nailing the Josh Jacobs, boom. He had about double his points. Derrick Henry, bust, did not hit. Alexander Madison, bust, did not hit. And it barely just didn't hit, though, by 0.5 points. It was really close. Jalen Waddle, boom, did not hit. So his season total is at 4. So you're still only losing by 1. And then Seth also goes 1 for 4. Hitting George Pickens' bust, which he had a very poor game compared to his 14-point projection. Jahmyr Gibbs, boom, did not hit. Cortland Sutton, boom, did not hit. And Derrick Henry, bust, did not hit, bringing his season total to 3. So this is still a wide open series here with the boom bust. I know we talked about this week is a weird week for boom bust.
Yeah. But you going 4 for 4 brings like the group average, brings it up quite a bit.
Exactly.
It's
so
good for the squad.
And I think that, people are going to start to realize like, whoa, maybe I should listen to what this guy says more often. I'll probably go 0 for 4 this week though. So yeah, this week is the first week of buys in fantasy football. We have 4 teams on bye: Seattle, LA Chargers, Tampa Bay, Cleveland Browns. Ivan, I know you are heavily affected by buys this week. How about like across all leagues or mainly just in our league?
I would say across all leagues. My other big league, I have Godwin and DK out. So those are a couple of receivers I would like to be starting if I could.
Right. How about you, Seth?
I think across the 4 leagues that I'm in, 2 I don't pay attention to, I just have K9, and that's it.
That's not bad at all.
No. Our league, I have everyone full go. In my brother's league, I have everyone full go.
I was missing DK Metcalf till I traded him today. And then I have Herbert in another league. I have K9 in another league. Other than that, not any starters. So, like Cleveland, like Amari Cooper's like the only fantasy relevant. I mean, Ford, I guess. Yeah. Tampa Bay, like Mike Evans and Godwin are like, I mean, Rashad White too. Like you can start him, I guess. So this is a big first bye week though. Yeah. Like there's a lot, especially with Seattle and LA. Like there is a lot of fantasy relevant guys that you're not able to start this week. So hopefully this is the point in the year where depth starts to come in play. So we'll see how that goes with everything. Let's talk about the injury update, though. where I want to start off at is with Ivan's fantasy team. Ivan's whole fantasy team is on the injury report, essentially. Those main guys being Amon-Ra St. Brown, who you just traded for, Jahmyr Gibbs, who we've had the ride the Gibbs roller coaster so far this year. Kyron Williams is questionable, and Aaron Jones is questionable. What a week for me to be playing this guy.
Yeah, lucked out, especially with the buys added on to that.
Yeah. So what is it looking like? Are all these guys going to play? Are all these guys not going to play? Like,
I would say Kyron, they just came out and said Kyron's expected to play.
Okay.
I think Aaron Jones plays, but they have a bye next week, so it's actually kind of tough. I don't know if it's like he's actually still hurt.
Right.
He could be because he got absolutely throttled.
He did.
On Thursday night by the Lions, which I don't know how we didn't predict.
Right. Yeah, I know. We should have. I assume that he'll play, though, just because of the long rest.
I think he plays, yeah. I really don't know. Amon-Ra's not going to play.
Right.
I think that's decided.
It kind of said, I mean, he's doubtful, and they said he hadn't practiced all week.
I was listening to another podcast, and they said the approach this week for the Lions should be like sit Amon-Ra. If we can't beat the Panthers without Amon-Ra, are we really a high caliber team?
Right.
That's kind of the thought. Not like it's a huge deal if they
don't
win,
but
like, that should probably be the approach, and it would be smart to give them a week.
Mm-hmm.
It's
like,
a good week.
Can people step up with Amon-Ra being out? And I think we'll see Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds, potentially Jamison Williams, who I still think will be on a very limited snap count. He's not even listed as active yet because, he just hasn't practiced yet at all this season. So it's kind of hard to insert him right into the offense. But yeah, those are a lot of injuries currently that are going on. Seth, we got to talk about two major impacts for you with guys returning. One of them from a fantasy perspective and the other just from being a fan of the team. Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp, both coming back off of the IR. I guess Kupp or Taylor was more of the PUP list, but either way, both making their season debuts here in Week 5. Which one are you more excited for?
So this is tough because I'll dive into like the fantasy aspect first. I think Jonathan Taylor coming back is a little more exciting just because there's still a little bit that's unclear about how that's going to unfold in Indianapolis. But I really liked what I saw from him, the interview that he had the other day. He said, the contract issue, that's an off-season thing. The guys in this building know why we're here. Like, we're ready to move forward.
Yep.
So it sounds like he's fully on board, and if he stays with the Colts, that's who he's going to ride with, which I did not expect for that coming out this week.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so it looks like if the Colts want him for the long haul, he's going to play for them, which is huge, and that obviously impacts Zach Moss a lot. Ivan and I talked about this a little bit the other day. Zach Moss has been fantastic in fantasy. And no offense to Zach Moss, he's not
as good as Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, he's not. I mean,
simple.
Jonathan Taylor's a great pure rusher. He always has been, even when he was in college. So if Jonathan Taylor steps into that role a little bit, he could kind of exceed everyone's expectations as far as what he's expected to do this year. And then moving on to Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's Cooper Kupp. Not really sure what the Rams want to do with his usage, easing him back into this. Obviously, hamstring is a really nagging injury. But with Puka Nacua being there, I can see him kind of taking a game or two to kind of get back to that full status, all the reps, the target share that he's used to. But should be a great addition for the Rams.
Yeah, and obviously we know that Matthew Stafford is always looking for his wide receiver one. He's made that quite obvious now, especially with Puka Nacua. So I'm excited to see how involved Cooper Kupp is right away. Seth kind of mentioned it, Ivan, but like as a Zach Moss owner, like what is the game plan right now with Zach Moss? Obviously, I assume you don't start him this week, but like, do you trade him? Do you cut him? What do you do with Zach Moss right now?
I think the two options you probably have in most leagues would be stashing him or trading him to the Jonathan Taylor owner, just as a handicap or a handcuff for them, just in case Jonathan Taylor goes down. Because I think he's valuable to the Jonathan Taylor owner to know if JT gets hurt, I've got a guy to throw in there that's averaging 17 points a game as the starter. So that's probably it. I mean, if you could like throw him in a package, throw him in a package. But I wouldn't drop him, and I don't.
I think he is a safe hold because it's clear that he is a great replacement if Taylor does miss some time, which obviously he has an injury issue this offseason, so he definitely has a chance to get hurt at some point. What do we think about Puka Nacua? Because obviously he's like a top 5 wide receiver right now, leads the entire NFL in receptions. I don't personally think that a guy like that can just disappear out of the offense after the return of Cooper Kupp, but he plays a very similar role to Cooper Kupp in a high-value role. So what do we think about Puka Nacua? Is he a bench this week? Do you still start him, or do you kind of just wait and see what happens?
Yeah, like you said, it's pretty tough. If you look at a lot of the dynamic duos at receiver around the league, I don't think we've really ever seen two dudes that play almost the exact same play style play together in this capacity before. But like you did say earlier, Matthew Stafford is a very locked on, goes to the guy he trusts, and that has very clearly been Puka Nacua. So he's earned that trust from Stafford. So I think there's a realistic world where Cooper Kupp is going to come back when he's fully healthy, and he's going to demand his target share of 25 to 30%. And Puka Nacua is going to take the wide receiver 2 role. And then the wide receiver 3, unfortunately for Tutu Atwell, I think is just kind of going to disappear, and he'll have a gamer here or there where he is relevant but not worth starting at all.
I think Tutu, it's scary. It's like, it's definitely like, because like Van Jefferson has played like 95% of their offensive snaps or something crazy. Like he's always out there. Yeah. I think it's going to be very similar to the Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods of like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Where Kupp is like a top 5 wide receiver every week, and Puka is going to be that wide receiver 13 to like wide receiver 20 range.
Right, like a flex play.
Every week. And that's still a wide receiver 2 or a flex, so he's still very valuable.
Yeah, I don't think that you like, if you have Puka, you don't like sell low on him by any means. And if you are a guy that doesn't have Puka, maybe you like see if whoever has Puka is like panicking, and maybe you try and go trade for him. He was traded in our league this week as well, so I mean maybe Cade was panicking on Puka Nacua.
What's a couple names you would throw at?
Like in the same territory?
You think would be a good guy to like trade, and it's an upgrade to get Puka?
That's a good question. Like a like who you taking right now? Mike Evans or Puka Nacua?
Mike Evans.
Probably Mike Evans, right? That's kind of what I was thinking.
I was going to throw Chris Godwin out there.
Yeah, I think I would rather have Puka, right? But he's a wide receiver too, so I mean it's T. Higgins. What about T. Higgins?
I'd rather have Puka.
I think I would too.
Puka.
How about Hollywood Brown?
Puka.
Puka.
Yeah, I think Puka.
What about Tyler Lockett?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think Puka. But it's just so hard because a week from now we could have this same conversation and it could be completely different. It could be like Puka still goes off for 25 this week, or he just doesn't play that much and he gets 4 points. Like
I have 2 more.
Okay.
Zay Flowers.
See, I own Zay Flowers, so I have a bit of bias here, but I think we're just waiting on that Zay Flowers boom game where he's really going to become like a starter every week. But I still have to take Puka right now.
Okay. And Michael Pittman. I think Michael Pittman is a good line.
That's a good one. I think I would go Pittman.
I think so too.
But that's a good one. That's I think that's a really good one.
The issue that I see with the Pittman versus the Rams is Pittman's the wide receiver 1. Obviously, if JD comes back, their situation changes a little bit. But the Rams are going to have an offense that's going to be really hard to support all the weapons that they have, because Higbee is obviously a decently reliable tight end. He's going to get a couple catches for 50 yards. And Kyron actually is like getting decent work out of the backfield right now. There's a lot of mouths to feed if Cooper Kupp comes back.
Right. And the good part is it is a pretty high-powered offense, so I mean I think it has the ability to support everyone. But yeah, I feel like a Tutu Atwell owner, like the ship has sailed. Like he'll have his games where he gets, he'll catch a 60-yard touchdown and like that makes his week. But he's going to have more 2-point weeks than he's going to have 20-point weeks.
To me, he's at around like the Elijah Moore tier.
Yeah, which is
less.
Like borderline droppable tier.
Yes.
Like right there. Okay, a couple more like injury things before we get into our list, because I think those will take a little bit. What do we think right now about the Rhamondre Stevenson situation? Rhamondre Stevenson is questionable right now with a thigh injury, but a lot of people drafted. I drafted Rhamondre Stevenson. Luckily, I traded him. A lot of people drafted him to be their RB2 if they went wide receiver heavy. And right now, it looks like he could be getting his job taken by Zeke Elliott in a poor offense to begin with. Rhamondre's had 2 back-to-back weeks of like 6 points. So is it time to hit the panic button with Rhamondre Stevenson and send him to the bench and maybe just try to find a better option?
Yeah, it's definitely like declining quickly. It's very like Madison-esque, like how it has been. It's tough because like Zeke doesn't look half bad.
Right.
Like I guess they both look very similar in skill.
Which is like not a good thing for Rhamondre because he was kind of supposed to separate himself.
Especially him being hurt. Like
yeah.
I think
you could see the Zeke 16 carry week like you did 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing that's kind of just upholding the Rhamondre talk right now is he's still seeing decent volume. I think he's averaging 14 some carries a game. That's solid volume, but I mean he's only averaging 3 yards per carry right now. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely tough. I definitely am not a fan of him moving forward from this point, but
and they're just that offense is just scary to begin with. Like you don't want to have to rely on someone in that offense to carry you. And that actually is that like the worst fantasy offense right now, or just fantasy team? I guess just as far as like supporting like viable fantasy players.
It's hard. I would honestly think like this might be a little crazy, but like the Steelers are right there with them.
No, they are.
They don't have anybody
like
you can like confidently start.
If you like hard press have to start Pickens, it's not like the end of the world. But that's about I mean that's literally it. Like Denver, like I mean I guess you can. They're like at least they have Sutton and Judy like who could go off. Javonte if he's healthy. Yeah, those definitely are some of the three. Okay, last couple things here. Devontae Adams is dealing with that shoulder injury that he kind of went through when he got injured in their game last week, but it seems like he's going to play Monday Night Football. He's got a crazy projection this week of like 22 points. And Saquon Barkley may return to the lineup this week, so that would be huge for Saquon owners because Matt Breida has not been the handicap like there are others in the league. So hopefully, if you own Saquon Barkley, he does play this week and you can start him. So do you guys want to do the boom or bust right now or do them after the positional rankings?
Your call.
I really don't know. Let's just do the boom or bust right now. Yeah. Okay. Right. Boom or bust picks for week 5. Like I said, last week was a great week for me. We already kind of discussed this, but I think they're so hard this week. I have a bunch written down, and I don't know which ones I'm going to take. Who would like to go first with a boom or bust?
I can start it off.
All right.
My first boom of the week is going to be Breece Hall.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to hop on that with him.
Wow, a couple of Breece picks. What's the projection on him?
13.1.
Okay.
He's playing Denver, currently ranked the 32nd worst run defense.
And Robert Salah said he's going full bore now.
Yep. Full tilt Breece coming at you.
2 touchdown game, I could see it.
Wow, I would love that. I have
he's
him
averaging
in a
like
league.
6.8 yards per carry right now. I think he's like the second most efficient runner. I'm pretty excited.
Are you starting him?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess I assume you would if you picked him as a boom. So, yeah, I like that pick. I definitely considered Breece Hall. I'm going to go with the guy who I'm playing against this week on your squad. I'm going with the Devontae Smith boom this week at a 15.1 projection. I don't really have much reasoning behind this one. Like, he's just kind of had 2 weeks in a row where he's, like, A.J. Brown has clearly been the dude. And this offense showed a lot last year that, like, A.J. Brown will still probably have, like, 12 to 15 fantasy points. But Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown go back and forth on, like, who is going to have the huge game. I just think that this Rams-Eagles game could be a pretty high-scoring game. And this could be a Devontae Smith, like, 102 touchdown type of game. So I'm going to pick a boom for Devontae Smith.
I'll also throw in that I think it's a great pick because the Rams run a lot of zone coverage and Devontae's their zone beater. Exactly. That's like, I think that's the Eagles' mentality is if we're trying to beat man, A.J. Brown's our guy. Devontae's going to beat the zone for us a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that just to put, like, I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I definitely, that definitely could be another reason for it. So, all right, who wants to go next?
You can keep it going with Ivan.
My second boom of the week is the guy I just traded away, Jalen Waddle.
Ooh, okay. Back-to-back weeks of picking Waddle.
It's projected 13.5.
Okay. Who are they playing? The Giants, right? Yeah, that's bad. That's probably a boom. And, like, especially because, like, last week was kind of his coming back into it week. Maybe this is, like, the big-time game.
And 13.5 is
pretty low
projection.
I think last week it was, like, 15. So, like, yeah, I like that pick. Seth, what do you got?
My second boom is I'm going to go Michael Pittman, projected 13.1, playing the Titans. They've got Richardson, JT possibly back. I think this offense could unlock a different level that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think, and this is a huge game. Titans, Colts are both 2-2. Every team in the AFC South is 2-2, so Richardson's gonna have to go to Pittman. He had a poor week last week, so it's quite the low projection this week. So I definitely like that pick as well. I have a really risky boom pick, so I'm gonna go with a bust here first. This is kind of a cheap pick because you probably aren't starting him. But I'm doing it anyways. I'm going with the Miles Sanders bust this week against the Lions. He's projected 13, which I just feel like is quite high. He's had a couple bad weeks in a row. And we talked about this so many times, but like the Lions run defense has just shut down fantasy running backs and just running backs in general over the last so many weeks, going back to the Carolina game last year. There's no way they're letting them run it all over him again like last year. So I think Miles Sanders bust. Like, do not start him by any means this week unless you would literally have no other running back to
I think
start.
Chuba snapped him last week.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually...
He's dealing with an injury.
Chuba Hubbard has more fantasy points than Najee Harris this year. I saw a video of some guys going over dudes that have more points than Najee, and it's pretty hilarious. Like that Brandon Johnson dude from Denver. Yeah. He's got more fantasy points than Najee this year.
That's funny.
Pretty crazy. All right, Ivan, give us your first bust.
My first bust of the week is Devontae Adams.
Fair.
I don't actually know the projection.
It's like 22.2, I'm pretty sure.
I think it just moved to 22.
Okay.
Of course it did.
Imagine if he hits it. Like, it still says 22.2 right now for me on here, so I'm going to write that down.
And my reasoning is Jair said he circled this game on his calendar.
Ooh, wow. And he's coming back from injury. He hasn't played in a few games.
And 22 is just always going to be a high projection to
right.
me. No matter who you are, unless you're probably McCaffrey at this point.
Yeah, honestly. All right, Seth, give us your first bust.
My first bust, and this is kind of a gamble. I'm going to go with a defensive battle, hopefully, and not a shootout. Brandon Ayuk projected 15.5 going up against probably one of the strongest defenses we've seen in the NFL in quite some time.
Yeah. 15.5, you said?
Yes.
I'm really hoping for that because I just traded for Debo, and I'm hoping that Debo plays. I know he's questionable right now.
If Debo plays, I feel like that's a smash.
Yeah, I totally think it's a smash.
I think so too. I think they're gonna have a lot of short yardage kind of plays.
Yeah.
And I feel like short yardage, Debo's definitely.
Oh yeah, that's Debo and McCaffrey all day. Yeah, Ayuk's more their big play guy. So yeah, I just hope Debo plays because last week he did play, and he actually played a lot of snaps. They just like purposely weren't giving him the ball because he just clearly like wasn't healthy.
Well, Dallas is tough too because like their QB pressure is insane.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. So
even if they do try to go deep,
yeah,
like,
Purdy's got to be getting rid of the ball pretty quick. So hopefully that means Debo, and obviously we know McCaffrey's going to be there too. Okay. I'm gonna give my second bust of the week. Yeah, let me get this out of the way. I thought of the Devon Achane bust because he had 8 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown last week. Like, there's just, you're telling me you're going to average 10 yards per carry for 3 straight weeks? I don't think so. But the odds of him getting a touchdown, I feel like, still is so high that I'm not going to pick the bust.
To me, there's a better chance he booms, even though he should bust.
Right. Oh, yeah, he should bust, but like
the Dolphins are going to probably get up big quick against the Giants, and then they're not going to start their RB1, Raheem Mostert.
Exactly.
Could
and
get
that's
weird.
why I almost picked the Tua boom at 19, but then like, dude, what if the same thing happens? Like, they just don't even throw the ball that much and they get up 21-0 in the first quarter, and it's like Mike White is in by halftime, you know?
So
like,
you picked Chosen Anderson boom then.
I should pick Mike White boom actually. I actually wonder what Chosen Anderson is projected. Okay, I'm gonna go with Alvin Kamara bust this week. I think that it's a risky one, but look, man, Alvin Kamara, as much as I just tried trading for him this week, I really want to find this Chosen. Oh, it's Robbie Chosen, isn't it?
Yeah.
God, that's so
Change
annoying.
his name again.
It was Chosen Anderson at one point. He is projected 0.0 this week. So so that boom is
touchdown catch and that hits.
Yeah, I'm going with the Alvin Kamara bust this week. He's projected 16.9. He had 13 catches last week, man, on an injured Derek Carr leg. I think that Derek Carr is going to come back a little bit healthier this week. They're playing against a stout New England defense. As long as Kamara doesn't score a touchdown, I think that this has a chance of hitting. Now, Kamara could just have like 8 or 9 catches again, but I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball that efficiently. It's not like Kamara's ever going to really get most of his work strictly through the run game anyways. But I'm just kind of relying on the fact that he's not going to get 13 catches this week, so I'm just picking that for my bust. All right, Ivan, give us your final bust pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to it. I think the projection's a little high. I've got Garrett Wilson bust.
It's been a popular pick this year. What's his projection?
17.1.
Yeah, that's quite high. And we were picking the Garrett Wilson bust at like 14, so I think you feel pretty good about that one. All right, Seth, give us your final bust pick.
Last one's a toss-up. They're both on the same offense. I'm going to go Joe Burrow bust.
Ooh.
Projected 18.3 going up against the Cardinals. Either him or Jamar, man, and that offense just not.
I had
look
Jamar
good.
on mine.
I thought about the Jamar bust too. I have it written down. But I didn't pick it.
The reason I chose Joe Burrow over Jamar is like there's a world where Jamar just has like 8 to 10 catches and like that gives him half his points.
Yeah, which like especially if T Higgins doesn't play, like he's just gonna be throwing at him all day. Okay, so my final boom pick. I'll tell you guys the 2 other booms that I like thought about doing. I think a Laporta boom is totally in play to especially with Amon-Ra not playing. He's only at a 10.1 projection. Like if he scores a touchdown, that probably hits. I do, this is biased, but like the Bijan boom, like if he gets a touchdown, dude, like he'll boom. He just hasn't scored since week 1.
He's gonna get a touch. He will probably boom. Like they're playing Houston.
I know, and Houston's run defense, like their pass defense actually has been pretty solid this year, but the run defense has not. And Bijan has just looked so good out there. Like he's just, as long as they're feeding him, and they have to feed him to stay in the game, I think he could boom. But I'm going with the riskiest boom pick of them all. Cooper Kupp boom this week, 17 projection. That is the most discount Cooper Kupp projection you're ever going to get. So I'm taking advantage of it right now. After this week, we're going to see the Cooper Kupp projection in the 20s for the rest of the season. So I'm taking advantage of the low projection. I just think that I know he's coming off of an injury, but Stafford just is going to get him the ball, and I think he'll score a touchdown. And if he gets 8 catches with a touchdown, I think he can get to that 23 mark. So that's the goal for Cooper Kupp boom there. All right, are you guys ready to hop into our rankings now?
Yep.
Yes,
So do we
sir.
want to go from like 1 to 10 or from 10 to 1? Probably 1 to 10. I feel like the top is more obvious, right?
Yeah, I think the tops are definitely locks, and it gets a little more.
I think
weird
so
at the
too.
bottom.
All right, so like I said, I'll explain this again, but this is not like the best players in fantasy right now. This is who we want in fantasy for the rest of the season. This is a week 5 to week 17 projection, basically ranking. So who we would want to have the most at each position, ranked 1 through 10. I think we'll just go each guy, like give our number 1. I'll say
like
mine,
that,
you say
yeah.
yours, and then we'll go to number 2 because some of these we're gonna have all the same, and it's not. We don't need to talk about guys that much. So. All right, let's start at the quarterback position. Ivan, we'll start with you, and we'll move this way. So, who's your number 1 quarterback?
My number 1 quarterback is Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
My number 1 quarterback is Josh Allen.
My number 1 quarterback is also Josh Allen. I'm taking Allen. He's currently the number 3 QB. Do we want to elaborate on those guys, or I think I think we know pretty well. Okay, number 2 QB.
Justin Herbert, which is a little hot, maybe.
I've got
Maybe.
Hurts.
I have Justin Herbert as my number 2 as well. I think that Justin Herbert is going to continue to produce in this offense. So he is my number 2. Number 3 quarterback.
Josh Allen.
This is where I have Herbert.
I have Patrick Mahomes at number 3. So we have the same top 3, just a little bit switched around. Hurts a lot higher than me and Ivan have him. Number 4 QB.
I have Hurts there.
Okay.
I've got Mahomes here.
I have Lamar Jackson at number 4. I snuck him in over Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I don't know why. I just did. I like Lamar more. Number 5.
Anthony Richardson.
Oh.
Number 5, I have Lamar Jackson.
Okay. My number 5 is where I have Jalen Hurts. Number 6.
Lamar Jackson.
I have Tua.
Okay, Tua getting some love. My number 6 is Anthony Richardson. I think that Anthony Richardson is just going to keep being a dog for the rest of the year. So he's my number 6. Number 7.
I have Tua here.
Anthony Richardson.
My number 7 is the current number 1 quarterback in fantasy, Justin Fields. I know Fields is not great in real life, but in fantasy football, he's been putting up the numbers the last few weeks. Number 8.
This is where I have Justin Fields.
Okay.
This is also where I have Justin Fields.
I have Tua Tagovailoa here at number 8. Have you guys both said Tua?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I had Tua the lowest. Number 9.
Trevor Lawrence.
CJ Stroud.
Ooh, okay. I have Stroud and I have Trevor Lawrence. Let's go. I have Kirk Cousins at number 9. I think the Vikings suck, but I think he's just going to put up numbers. So, number 10, wrapping it up.
Joe Burrow.
Ooh.
Kirk.
I went with Trevor Lawrence here at number 10. Joe Burrow was definitely my biggest name left out of the top 10. I just think that there's a clear injury there, and I'm nervous. I've already talked about it with you guys, but like I'm really panicking about T. Higgins. Like I really do think that he could be like non-startable in a few weeks just because of the injury to Joe Burrow. Hopefully, I think he should get benched and become healthy, but who are like some tough spots, I guess, here on this list for you guys, or just like why you have certain guys
I want to throw out my thought process on Burrow, just as a rest of season ranking. I think the second half, when closer to the end, he's going to be fully healthy. I don't think that their staff would be playing him right now if that wasn't the plan.
Right.
If he wasn't somehow like still like healing, like he's not out there playing if it's getting worse. So it should be getting better every week unless they're idiots.
Right.
So I'm banking on them not being idiots.
That's fair.
Just like an additional point to that, I was listening to a podcast too, and from what it sounds like, the injury that he has right now is not something that would significantly get better if he sat for a week. Like it's not one of those injuries. Obviously, he had 6 weeks leading up to the season where this injury was there and he didn't get better. So I kind of took like the opposite approach to that, and he is hurt. And I think the issue that concerns me the most is everyone's talking about the driving the ball down the field. The deep ball is not there. It's not a threat anymore. But really, it's just any passing right now. It looks so disconnected from him and his receivers that like it's really like a worry. If you can't get Jamar Chase the ball,
he just looks uncomfortable in the pocket right now. And Burrow has been one of the best, if not the best, in the entire NFL at escaping the pocket and avoiding pressure. So
not even that's an issue. Joe Mixon's having a hard time getting it going right now too. So that whole offense right now is just kind of off track.
Yeah, and it's a bit scary if you own really anyone. And I think Jamar has shown he's going to be fine, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you own anyone else in that offense, it definitely is a bit scary going forward. But hopefully, I mean, like Ivan said, it's not like he's just going to suck all year. He definitely will get back on track at some point. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I also don't own a Bengals player in any league, so I don't have any emotion towards it.
I'm
just
so
watching
emotion.
it happen.
Yeah, I have Jamar in 2 leagues, T. Higgins in every single league, and Mixon in a couple leagues. So it's just I'm a Bengals guy at this point. I don't have Burrow though at all. Is there any other Anthony Richardson? We have him ranked pretty high, but did you have Anthony Richardson on yours?
Yeah, I did.
What number?
6.
Yeah, I had him at number 6 as well. So I think that as long as he stays healthy, I mean, he's the only guy I had that's currently out of the top 10 quarterbacks other than Trevor Lawrence that's in this current top 10. But he's missed a game. So it's as long as he stays healthy, I think he's locked to get you 20 fantasy points a week.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hop in. Let's just do our top 5 tight ends because this is just kind of boring. And then we can get into the real spicy ones. So, number 1 tight end for the rest of the season.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, Kelce. Number 2. He's still debating.
TJ Hawkinson.
Okay.
Hawkinson.
I went with Mark Andrews for my number 2 tight end. And your number 3 tight end.
Mark Andrews.
Laporta.
Ooh, he goes with Laporta, number 3. I love that. I did put Hawkinson as my number 3 tight end. Number 4 tight end.
I've got Laporta there.
Mark Andrews.
I also have Laporta at number 4. Number 5 is it's definitely not an obvious one. Who do you guys have at number 5?
Evan Ingram.
Okay, I also have Evan Ingram, so I guess it is a little bit obvious. I went with Mark Andrews over TJ Hawkinson just because I think that there's a world where the obviously the Ravens are a better team than the Vikings are. I just think that we saw it last week. Hawkinson, I think he had 3 fantasy points or 4 fantasy points last week. I think that we're just not really ever going to see that from Mark Andrews, and we're more likely to see that from Hawkinson. Hawkinson, I feel does have a much higher boom potential though to get you 102 touchdowns. Yeah. But it's a toss up. I mean, either one of those guys, they're so close there at 2 and 3. Laporta at number 3 for you, Seth.
Yeah. So Laporta, I mean, there may be a little bit of bias here just because it's so much fun watching him every week. But I mean, high-powered offense. He's seeing a lot of work that I think Evan Ingram is another model of consistency, but he just looks so good. I mean, he catches everything that goes his way. Everything he does once he gets the ball is right, and he's proving himself as a nice, reliable piece of that offense. Mm-hmm. So,
all right, now we're into the fun ones. Do we want to do? Well, let's do wide receiver because I feel running back is the most juicy. Yeah. Wide receiver's hard because with QB, top 10 QBs, it's there's only, you're in a 10 or 12 man league, you only have one of those guys starting, so it's not that big of a deal. However, wide receivers and running backs, you got 2 or 3 of them starting, so it becomes really interesting. Let's get right into it. Number 1 wide receiver.
Justin Jefferson.
Stephon Diggs.
Ooh, really? Yeah. That makes me feel happy. I also have Justin Jefferson at number 1. Number 2.
Tyreek Hill.
Justin Jefferson.
I have Tyreek Hill at number 2. Moving on to number 3.
I have Diggs at 3.
Tyreek Hill.
I also have Diggs at 3, so we all had the same top 3 in different order there. I wanted to get your opinion right now. Diggs at number 1.
I've always it's tough too because I think I said this like 2 years ago, and I think I might have even said it last year. The Bills are gonna have a year, like it's just their year, and their offense looks red hot right now. Diggs has been consistent, but not only consistent, he's still shown that his consistent floor is 18 to 20, and he's still going to have the 36 boom weeks. So we haven't really seen that out of a receiver. I mean, Devontae Adams put up 15. Even Tyreek's had a 14-point game. But Stephon Diggs has just been the guy so far in fantasy.
Yeah. I think Diggs probably has a chance. Like, he's the most consistent.
Yes.
To me, if they're better, though, I think Gabe Davis feels that more than Diggs.
Yeah.
Like, I think them taking the next step is Gabe Davis becoming fantasy relevant on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I think so too. Because
Go ahead.
Even like last week, Gabe Davis had like a touchdown on the first drive, and that was his only catch of the whole game. So
I think I agree with you. I think Gabe Davis is like the piece. Once he starts coming around, he becomes fantasy relevant. But a large piece that they haven't had that they do have this year, James Cook averaging 15 points a game.
That's true.
Usually they don't have a reliable running back.
It's been such a question mark the last several years. So, and that's with Latavius Murray even like getting a decent amount of work there this year so far. So, all right, let's move on. Number 4 ranked wide receiver,
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen as well. Who would have thought? I guess Ivan would have thought because he made the trade for him earlier in the season. But number 5 receiver.
Okay, I gotta think really quick.
Are you like forgetting about someone?
I figured out who I didn't have on my list.
Oh, so you're trying to incorporate him in.
Cooper Kupp?
Who was it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so.
See, I can see you forgetting him though, because he's not anywhere on any list.
I'm also considering not putting him on this list.
That's
but I think I have to.
Yeah.
I have Devontae at 5.
Devontae Adams.
I also have Devontae Adams at number 5. So we all have the same top 5. Me and Ivan actually have the same exact list so far. But all the same guys in the top 5. Number 6.
AJ Brown.
This is where I have Cooper Kupp in my top 10. I obviously if you are a Cooper Kupp owner, you've waited out these 4 weeks. From this point on, I'm comfortable placing Kupp in this 6 slot, and there's a world where he can move even higher, but I think 6 is a fair spot for him. Number 7.
Amon-Ra.
CeeDee Lamb.
I have AJ Brown here at number 7. Number 8.
I think this is where I'll throw Kupp in.
Okay.
Cooper Kupp.
Oh wow, that worked out for you. I have Jamar Chase at number 8.
Okay.
It's Jamar Chase is a really tricky one, because like we literally just talked about it with Joe Burrow, but I think he's still like good enough to be in this top 10, hopefully throughout the rest of the year. But when you drafted him, you didn't expect him to be at number 8 at this point in the year. So, all right, number 9.
I'm gonna put Jamar at 9.
Okay.
I also have Jamar at 9.
This is where I have Amon-Ra at number 9. Obviously, he's gonna miss this week probably, which hurts his total points and everything, but he's still just going to be, like, once J-Mo comes back, Amon-Ra is going to be getting back to that 8 to 10 receptions a game category where he was last year, which this year he's kind of been around, like, that 6 mark. He's definitely going to be a lot more opportunity once J-Mo's back in the flow of things. Number 10 for me was hard. I debated between, like, 4 guys for number 10. Who do you guys got at number 10?
Yeah, I guess this fell into my hands a little bit because I debated it, but CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, yeah.
I have Amon-Ra here.
CeeDee Lamb, I originally had him on here, and then I talked myself into someone else. I have Chris Olave at number 10.
Terrible take. CeeDee Lamb is number 10.
You have CeeDee Lamb at like number 8, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard because I like CeeDee would be 11 if we did it, if we kept this list going. But I just think Olave, he had such a bad week last week, which obviously like hurts him a lot. But I trust Olave more to get more reception PPR wise than CeeDee Lamb. But it's a toss up.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think CeeDee's a little scary because like the Cowboys have said we want to run the ball. The Cowboys also. I don't know like how many there hasn't been that many games this year where Dak comes out and they like need to go score.
Yeah.
Like they lost to the Cardinals bad, so that doesn't count. And then their defense has scored 2 touchdowns, 2 different games.
It's a good point.
If this kind of thing continues, like you're just gonna see these down weeks from CD because they just don't need him to do it.
And this week will be a bit telling because they're playing one of the better teams in the NFL, if not the best team in the Niners. So I think this week will mean a lot for CD going forward. Is there any other like names that you guys want to like elaborate on in this top 10 here?
I really did think about Devontae Smith.
So did I.
But I just couldn't throw him in there over any of the guys.
I kind of like not having any wide receiver 2 in my top 10.
Yeah.
Because it's like the top 10,
pretty
it's
rare.
just the consistency of them. Like not having Waddle or Devonta Smith, because those are 2 guys that I was high on like this year. But they are going to have down weeks because there's 2 of them.
And Devonta Smith did end up as a top 10 receiver last year. I think he was number 10
I think
last
Waddle
season.
did
So,
too.
yeah, I think he did too. So it definitely is possible.
Yeah.
But currently where we're at, there's just been enough wide receiver 1s on other teams to put him there. So if you guys had to put, like, just spitballing here, because obviously it's kind of hard to just think of all of the guys. Where's Puka Nacua at on this list? Is he top 25? Is he top 20?
I think he's probably 19 to 20.
Okay.
I would probably slide him into like the 15, 16 spot.
I actually don't know. It's so hard.
'Cause we were
When
talking
you start
about
thinking
other
about
guys.
names like DK.
Like, because I wrote 3 honorable mentions. I have CD, DK, and Debo. Those are my 3 honorable mentions to this list.
So let's put those guys at 11 to 13.
Right.
And then
We already mentioned, like, Mike Evans.
Mike Evans, you said you would take. You're taking DK.
Like, I'm just going to scroll. Like, okay, Nico Collins. That's a name.
I would rather have Nico Collins. What about, like, Ridley?
I would rather have Puka Nacua.
That Ridley's a hard one. Yeah, I think that one's a toss-up.
Okay.
I think that's a good one, though. Like, that's right in there. Like, Michael Pittman, we mentioned him. Like, I do think I would take Pittman over him.
I think I would take Ayuk over him.
Amari Cooper. These are all guys in those territory, though. That's what we're saying. Like, it definitely.
DJ Moore coming off the big game.
You got to take DJ Moore, right?
Yeah.
Like, just with how crazy he went. Like, I just feel like that is such a huge game for him going forward.
Do you guys take Ayuk over Puka?
I think I would. I think I would.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Just because they're both wide receiver 2s, and I mean, I want to say I only say Ayuk because I've seen Ayuk as a wide receiver 2. We'll see in like a week or so.
Ayuk's averaging like 20 a game.
Yeah, he's looked really good so far.
So tough.
Yeah, and I talked to Ivan about this beforehand, but like we definitely should redo this list in like 3 weeks and just to see how much has changed, because I guarantee a lot will have changed by then. Obviously, like if guys get hurt, like that plays a huge role in this. Well,
I will say like Devonta Smith and Waddle sliding into the top 10 last year. It's because of injury.
Yeah, no, it is.
Like some of these top 10 guys are, hopefully not, but like they get
they
hurt.
will. They
get hurt. They miss time. One of them might miss 5 weeks, and that's what kicks them out of that top 10. So realistically, like those guys probably shouldn't. It's okay that they're not in our top 10.
Right?
It
Yeah,
makes sense
because they could get in there at some point if with injuries and stuff. All right, let's move on to the hardest list of all, mainly because the current top 10 at this position, running back, is so weird. We already talked about this, but like Raheem Mostert is RB2 and Devon Achane is RB4. Brian Robinson is RB. Well, I guess he has the extra game, so that's why he's RB6. David Montgomery is a top 10 running back. Like, it is just a weird position right now. So let's get into our top 10 rankings here. I wrote down 4 honorable mentions here because I just I couldn't figure out like that number 10 slot. But number 1, who do we got?
CMC.
Same.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, number 1. That's the only obvious part about this list, if you ask me. Number 2.
Do you want me to go or you?
You can.
I've got Bijan at 2.
I've got Bijan at 2.
I've got Bijan at 2 as well. And me and Cade had this argument today, and we need to talk about it right here, right now.
Yep.
Because I told Cade back in week 2, even after Eckler like started with the injury stuff, I told him I wouldn't trade him Bijan for Eckler straight up. And he got mad at me for that. He was like, "That's so dumb. Like that is crazy that you even think that." And then today we had it. He said, "Would you trade me Bijan for Eckler straight up right now?" And I said, "No." I said I would rather have Bijan. I think he finishes higher. And he goes, "Well, yeah, he'll finish higher. He played more games." But I'm like, "No, I think he'll score more points from right now till the end of the year than Eckler will." And he thought that was blasphemous. Clearly, you guys agree with having Bijan higher. I just kind of wanted to hear your opinions on that.
Bijan has just been like a crazy consistent back. He looks great on a terrible offense. There's no questions in my mind.
Yeah, I don't see the argument.
I think so too, and he hasn't been touchdown scoring either. Like, he's a running back. He's obviously going to start to score touchdowns at some point. Wait till he starts having these 30 bomb weeks. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, I love that Bijan is at number 2. Number 3.
I have Pollard at 3.
I have Pollard at 3.
I do have Austin Eckler at number 3 though, as much as I just talked crap about him. So it's still close, definitely. Number 4.
I have Jonathan Taylor at 4.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
I have Saquon Barkley at 4.
Oh, wow. Our lists are going to be so much different for this. My number 4 is Tony Pollard. I think Pollard definitely is no debate top 4. Number 5.
I have Eckler at 5.
I have Eckler at 5.
I have Josh Jacobs at number 5. I think that Jacobs really proved last week that he's back, and I think that they're going to continue to feed him a lot, especially with Jimmy dealing with these injuries. Number 6.
Number 6, I have Saquon.
I have Kyron Williams.
Ooh, okay. My number 6 is Kenneth Walker III. I know that he's been incredibly touchdown dependent, but also I think that's just how their offense is. I think he's just going to score touchdowns all year, so I have him pretty high. Number 7.
This is where I have Josh Jacobs.
This is where I have Josh Jacobs.
I have Alvin Kamara at number 7. I love what I saw week 1. I know I just picked him to bust week 2, but I just think he's going to get so much work receiving-wise out of that backfield like he does every year. Number 8.
This is where I have Alvin Kamara.
Okay.
Alvin Kamara.
Wow. My number 8 is another name that hasn't been said, DeAndre Swift. He is my number 8. I know that the injury risk is so high with DeAndre Swift. He has never stayed healthy so far in his 5-year career, but I just think that behind that Philly O-line, like he's been so good so far. So I'm predicting him to finish in the top 10, or at least from this point out. Number 9.
Okay. Number 9, I am going to put Kyron Williams.
Okay.
Number 9, I have Derrick Henry.
I also have Derrick Henry here at number 9. I know last week we panic buttoned about Derrick Henry a little bit, but he responded well with throwing a touchdown pass last week. So, and wrapping it up, number 10.
I'm just going to I have Aaron Jones here. It's just my opinion. I think he's only played one real game of football this year. And I don't count that Lions game.
Yeah.
And he had 27 fantasy points. So that's just my opinion.
No, I don't think that's like a hot take or anything. Right. Yeah.
I've got K9 here.
Yeah. I had K9 higher on my list. I have Jonathan Taylor at number 10. I still think Taylor definitely, and you had him obviously pretty high, so I think that he definitely still. Did you have Taylor or no?
I didn't.
That's crazy. You're the Taylor owner. Yeah, so that's awesome. So yeah, those are the top 10. I have 5 honorable mentions that I wrote down. Saquon Barkley was the big miss for me. Did you have Saquon on your list? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just missed him. Kyron Williams did not make my list. James Cook, Travis Etienne, Aaron Jones. Those were the 5 guys that I wrote down. Are at the top of your head like the main guys that missed your guys' list?
I didn't have K9, Etienne. Those are 2 like guys that probably are gonna get close.
Right. So, none of us had Etienne, right?
No.
Yeah.
I really considered I didn't have Henry.
Oh yeah, that's a big one too. Yeah.
I thought about Montgomery. I sat there and I really.
Dude, there's really a world.
Yeah, I think Gibbs will get more involved
at some point. He will.
Just like everything that's like come out about Montgomery. I mean, like Austin Eckler touched on it the other day. Like he is just so good. He's such a great veteran presence. He's only 25. Mm-hmm. His jump cuts to the hole are magnificent. I mean, he's got a nose for the end zone. He's running really well.
And he had like 36 carries the other night. Yeah, so like that's just crazy.
I really wanted to slide him in there at 10, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
K9.
Any like other things you want to talk about your guys' list, like where you had certain guys ranked? Like, are you confident in guys at all?
I guess I kind of want to hear Ivan's opinion on this too, because Ivan and I had Saquon higher, and you didn't have him on your list.
I had him I had him just missing the list.
So the reason I put Saquon on here is because we've seen 1 or 2 full games out of him, and I think both games he played really well. And now that he's gone, that Giants offense is terrible.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones went from a 30 bomb to you can't roster that.
Yeah.
So I think if he gets over this injury, he comes back, I think it really turns that offense around. He's easily the focal point.
Yeah, and I not accidentally, but I have Daniel Jones in my starting lineup over Sam Howell in the Devy League last night, so missed out on a 30 bomb from Sam Howell in that league. I put Saquon just lower than these guys just because, like, when you compare the offense to the rest of the 10 I have above, the offense is so bad, and I understand like Saquon being hurt like is a huge part of that.
Yeah.
But, like, they've scored 9 points in the first half this year. Jake Elliott has outscored them in one game in one half so far this year, or in the first half this year for the New York Giants. So I just feel like the touchdowns might be a little bit less to come for than they were last year. I still think like Saquon obviously is going to be top like 12. But I just decided to put him a little bit lower than these other guys. Any other, like, did either of you guys have DeAndre Swift on your list? I know we talked about him before, like you considered him, but I do
just outside.
Yeah,
my top 10.
Definitely. The running backs is weird, man. We're in a really weird spot right now with the running backs, and they're going to continue to change throughout the year. Did you have Kamara in your list?
I did.
Okay. Yeah. So, you had him in the same spot as him.
I think the tough thing about Swift is if I could put in Eagles starting running back of the week, top 10, that's
a great point.
Because their offensive line is just so good that whoever is going to get the 15 carries or 14 carries that game is going to be
They'll have 100 yards and a touchdown.
So that's the other thing I considered too is like I almost just put the Dolphins running backs. Like cuz they're just such a high-powered offense and obviously they both look great right now. Don't know how that fall off is going to work.
They're going to fall off, dude. I'm calling it right now.
They so
the first
will.
person to say it. They're going to fall off. They'll both be like fringe top 15 guys. This is not going to keep up, dude.
I feel like there could be a complete change of the guard. I think Achane could.
Yeah, the only way is if one of them just gets kicked
One of
out.
them has to get the work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if they don't, dude, I'm just like, every week that I would be, if I had those guys and I was starting them, I would be a little scared that it's just.
It just concerns me because the big week that we saw from the Broncos, it was Achane in the receiving game with the 2 receiving touchdowns, and then the next week, like we touched on. He had 8 carries for a ridiculous
100 yards,
a ridiculous efficient game on the ground.
And then in that same game, Raheem Mostert had 7 carries for 9 yards.
Yeah.
So like obviously they weren't really running the ball very much at all, but like you go from 7 for 9 and 8 for 100, like you would think Devon Achane kind of takes over, but who do you guys think finishes higher?
Achane.
Yeah.
It also is tough because we don't know what Jeff Wilson's role is. Obviously,
he's back this week too. That's a good point. So that definitely plays into it as well. Yeah, there's a big question mark there. I think it's safe. I'm glad that all of us agree that neither of them will finish in the top 10 because it's going to be really tough. I'm just looking at some of these other guys that are currently in the top 10. Like I just didn't include Kyron Williams because.
I think it's fair not to.
But also it's kind of hypocrisy with my Kenneth Walker thing, like the touchdowns. Like Kyron has 2 touchdowns in 3 out of the 4 games this year. Like I just don't think that can keep up. But also like K9's kind of the same way, so it definitely is like I really don't know with Kyron. I still think like he is a starting running back the whole rest of the season. Obviously, like that's not in question. What about Brian Robinson? Right now he's RB6. I know that he played last night, so that's why he's jumped up into here, but. Like, is he going to finish top 20, top 15?
I think the offensive skill of that entire team as a whole is kind of catching up to him. Obviously, he had the 2 touchdown game for like 30 points. I think they're kind of catching up to the fact that Sam Howell's a good QB, not a great QB.
Yeah.
Terry's a good receiver, not a great receiver, you know.
And I think that that said a lot last night for them to be down 27-3 against the 0-4 Chicago Bears at home. You know, so maybe their team just isn't that good in general, and it's going to be hard for them. They're going to be playing from behind in a lot of games.
Yeah, so I just don't see the consistency with him.
Yeah,
or the receiving work.
He still be
the thing about that
bust.
top 10 guys. They have to have 2 out of the 3 kind of, or one, at least they have to be very good at one of like they're either the workhorse, their team is either really good, or they're receiving back or 3-down back. Like you have to be one of the 3 or 2 of the 3 to be elite.
Probably 2 of the 3 to be top 10, honestly.
And like everyone in our top 10 has the goal line.
Yeah, not basically, definitely every single guy. Like maybe Kamara once Jamal Williams comes back, but like we don't know right now, so that's.
But Kamara's also the only guy that's going to consistently get in 10 targets.
Yeah.
So going off the model that you just kind of built for us, Ivan, what do you guys think, and where do you think Isaiah Pacheco finishes? Because we're seeing him get the 15 to 20 carries in the last 2 weeks, and that's a great offense. So, I mean, he fits 2 of the 3 categories.
Yeah, I traded away Isaiah Pacheco after week 2, and the last 2 weeks he has done pretty well. And he's scored touchdowns as well, which also like is a little bit scary because he hadn't scored touchdowns when I had him. I think Pacheco is like top 20. But I'm still taking like James Cook over him. I think that the Chiefs is a little bit different because of the amount of dudes. I think that like he's going to get the carries, but there will be games where he doesn't get the receiving work. There will be games where Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets the goal line carries. Or
that's the thing to me is this team. How I said the 2 out of the 3 and the goal line is 1. No running back on the Chiefs will ever get the goal line. Patrick Mahomes is the goal line.
Right.
He gets the goal
whoever
line.
he wants.
Whoever
to give
he
it to.
wants to score is gonna score. So I don't think there's a goal line to give here.
Right. No, I don't think so either because it's just not. It's definitely not consistent.
I think this is the only team in the NFL like that.
So where's Brees fall into this list? Because obviously, like he hasn't been great so far. But if it's the Brees we saw last season, and it's Robert Saleh really finally realizing, wow, Dalvin Cook has fallen off absurdly. We need to start hammering Brees Hall, which is kind of what it sounds like. where does Breece Hall fall into this mix of top whatever running backs for the rest of the year?
I think he'll climb up there. He just, with the missed time and how rough the offenses look so far, he's got a lot of work to make up. He's going to be great this year. I do believe that. He's been really efficient in what we have seen of him so far. He's just really far behind right now.
Game script is going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
Whole team. And for him a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely going to finish top 20, though.
Yeah, I think he will too. Like Pacheco or Breece.
Breece.
Yeah, I think so too.
Breece has a high ceiling also.
Yeah, he does. And hopefully he builds up a high floor as well with these next few games. So is there anything else we want to discuss, or are we all good here?
I think we're good.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, good luck to your fantasy matchups this week, except for Ivan. If we're recording this on Friday, like I said, so I'll have this out by Saturday morning, so you can listen to this and hopefully get some advice going into your fantasy week for this week. Go trade for the guys that we had in our top 10 that maybe aren't in it right now. Like, I mean, maybe not Jonathan Taylor. Now's kind of a really bad time to trade for him, but maybe some other guys. So
if Jonathan Taylor lays an egg this week and Zach Moss gets a lot of the work, maybe.
Go trade for Rhamondre.
Yeah, he literally just did that right before we started this. So, all right, guys, thank you for listening, and peace.